The palace of Amen held its breath. At dawn, the courtyards were washed in ash blue, drums tight as fists beneath goatskin, counting a law older than the throne. Chidima and Oluchi, faces like carved ivory, heads polished bare sat on the cold tiles and wept without sound. Their tears made small moons on stone. Far off, the youngest, Nechi, stood before a bronze mirror and crowned herself with silk another perfect wig, another quiet laugh. In African tales, African folklore head is throne. To mask the throne is to spit out the ancestors.
We have to be careful.
The warning lived in the walls. A servant girl, eyes salt bright, dared a whisper. My princess, the spirits see the root, not the bride. Nechi smiled the way a hunted animal bears teeth. She tied the wig tighter. Memory struck like a cane. Courtyard, children circling, half-bald princess, stones of laughter, blood-hot shame. She swore then never again, never bear,
we have to be careful.
Never sing. Owls rove the roof
What do you think it is?
And clicked their beaks like beads. In the royal chapel, the masked seemed to watch, patient as judges. The king gripped his staff, the queen counted breaths. Law of the spirit world. Insult a soul pay. Repent, be redeemed. The air thickened, storm died. Somewhere beyond the gates, a student prankster was waking to mischief. A tug waiting in his hands, a gasp waiting in a crowd. The day sharpened like a blade.
What do you think it is?
African folktales carry this scent before the kill storytelling magic African story. The first drum fell. The sun rose molten that morning, spilling gold on the university roofs like the touch of a careless god. Birds shrieked in the mango trees, their wings cutting the silence into ribbons. Nechi walked through that heat with her crown of deceit sitting immaculate upon her head. A black wig, gleaming, perfumed with palm oil and secrets.
What do you think it is?
Beneath it, her scalp ached. The ancestors were restless. In African folklore, when a woman covers her only, her spiritual head without truth, the soul begins to rot from the inside. The wind ceases to greet her, the ground forgets her footsteps. Nechi felt this curse in small ways. Flowers withering as she passed, mirrors fogging when she tried to smile. Still, she said nothing. Then came the moment. The lecture hall buzzed with chatter, a hive of young voices. Ima, the class clown, strutted in like a trickster spirit, reborn mockery for sport, cruelty without thought. His eyes caught the gleam of Nechi's wig and mischief took root. "Princess," he shouted, "your crown shines brighter than the Sunday. Is it glued to your head? Or is it part of your magic?" Laughter, the kind that cuts. Before anyone could intervene, his hand darted forward, swift, foolish, guided by the spirits of mockery. He tugged, the wig shifted. Just a fraction, but enough. For a single heartbeat, the whole turned to stone. The shimmer of light fell upon the raw scalp beneath, where sparse strands clung like survivors after fire. Gasps rippled. Someone whispered, "She is bold." Another voice hissed, "The curse of the royal blood." That instant, small, brutal, ripped open years of secrecy. Nechi felt the spirits of her ancestors surge, wild and wounded, as though her deceit had been flung into their faces before the living world. The drums in the unseen world began to beat, summoning judgment. Her pulse roared. Heat flamed behind her eyes. She rose. "If you touch me again," she said, voice trembling, "you will regret it." The laughter died. The words hung like smoke. Nechi snatched her bag and fled the hall, her shame dragging behind like a torn veil. Outside, the sky darkened, suddenly thunder without warning, clouds boiling as if the heavens had inhaled her humiliation. A wind rose from the north, the direction of the dead, bending the trees until they whispered curses. She reached her room, locked the door, fell to the floor, and screamed into her palms. "They have seen me!" she gasped. "They have seen me!" In that cry, the spirit lore was broken open. The ancestors had been mocked not by others, but by her own fear. To hide one's divine form is to doubt one's maker. To doubt one's maker is to summon silence from the gods. Rain began to fall heavy, vengeful, drumming on the palace roofs miles away. Chidima and Oluchi woke crying without knowing why. The same blood that tied their sorrow to Nechi's shame now pulsed with ancestral unrest. By nightfall, the kingdom of Annam would remember its oldest law. He who covers what the ancestors created will one day be uncovered before all the living. And somewhere, beyond the clouds, the spirits began to count. The rain did not end that night. It came down in spears, drumming against the roofs as if the sky itself demanded confession. The next morning, the air in the university was swollen with whispers, sharp, poisonous things that slithered from mouth to mouth. The princess has no hair. She hides a curse. Her beauty is borrowed. Each rumor crawled, multiplied, and struck like locusts, devouring a harvest of dignity. When Nechi walked through the courtyard, the wind turned cold. Eyes followed her, some mocking, some pitying, all cruel. The girl who had once been adored was now an omen, a living tale of what happens when pride defies truth. That evening, Amara, her roommate, returned to find the princess motionless, seated on the floor, her wig cast aside beside her like the carcass of a fallen bird. Her eyes were swollen from tears, her breath shallow. Amara whispered her name once, twice, then gently. "What happened?" Nechi did not answer at first. Her voice had deserted her, exiled by shame. Finally, she looked up and said in a voice like ash, "You must promise me, whatever you see tonight, it dies here." Amara, moved by the weight of the moment, nodded. "I swear." Nechi untied her scarf, slowly. Each knot was a prayer undone. When the last thread fell, the truth stood naked. Her scalp uneven, scattered with thin brittle hair, glimmered under the dim light, like wounded earth. Amara gasped, not out of disgust, but disbelief. She reached out, but stopped halfway, afraid her pity might wound more deeply than any insult. Nechi whispered, "This is the head I was born with. My sisters have none at all. Our curse began before we were born. The elders say our great-grandmother mocked the priest who blessed her marriage. The spirit cursed her lineage. Let your daughters be beautiful, yet uncrowned." Her tears fell freely now. I thought I could outrun it, hide it, build a kingdom on lies. Outside, thunder rolled again. The ancestral tribunal had begun its invisible session. The old ones, faceless but watchful, stirred in the ether. 3 days later, Maxwell appeared. His eyes carried questions the whole campus had already asked aloud. When he spoke, it was quiet but cutting. "Tell me the truth, Nechi. I need to hear it from your own lips." There was no escaping now. The tribunal had drawn its circle around them. He, the witness, she, the accused. The air in the small dormitory thickened. Nechi trembled, then lifted her wig, placing it on the table like an offering. Her bare head caught the faint lamplight. "This is me." Silence. Only the rain outside answered, steady as breath. Maxwell's face shifted shock, compassion, awe, all braided into stillness. "I see you," he said finally, "and I am not afraid." Those words rippled through the unseen. In the realm of spirits, a calabash cracked the sound of chains loosening. The tribunal had heard, but the sentence was not yet delivered. That night, the king dreamed. He saw 3 daughters kneeling before his throne, their heads shrouded in smoke. The ancestral priest appeared, holding a bowl of mirror water. His voice boomed like the surf of time. "One among them has unveiled herself to love, but not yet to the living. Until truth is spoken before the people, the curse will drink their joy. The bloodline must stand unveiled, or perish in silence." The king woke drenched in sweat, the echo still burning in his chest. He knew then what had to be done. A public reckoning. A head revealed under the moon, not to shame, but to cleanse. Back at the university, Nechi could not sleep. She felt the ancestral summons clawing beneath her skin. She would have to return home. She would have to face the throne, the same throne that had built her fear. At dawn, she stood before Maxwell's door. The corridor smelled of damp earth and guilt. "I must go back to the palace," she said. "They will call me. I can feel it." Maxwell nodded. "Then I go with you." Their eyes locked. Between them lay a fragile alliance, mortal love against ancestral law. Far away in the palace shrine, the priest lit a torch and whispered to the masks, "Prepare the bowl. The moon will rise red. One must stand unveiled before the kingdom." Thus began the true hunt, not of beasts or men, but of lies. The tribunal of the living and the dead was set. The spirits were no longer watching. They were waiting. The road to Anum was a serpent of red dust and fading light. Drums of rain clouds rumbled far behind as Nechi and Maxwell approached the palace gates, their feet heavy with the weight of judgment. She had covered her head again out of habit. Not deceit, but the air itself seemed to hiss at the cloth, whispering in the ancestral tongue. Enough hiding. The guards bowed and opened the bronze doors. Inside, the court had gathered. The king, rigid as carved ebony. The queen, face pale as ash. And the 2 elder princesses, Chidima and Oluchi, their bald heads shining under the torchlight like mirrors of grief. The air trembled with incense smoke and thunder waiting its turn to strike. When Maxwell entered, he carried no weapon, only a basket of offerings, yam, palm oil, kola nut, and a white goat tethered with red rope. He bowed and spoke with a voice that did not shake. Your Majesties, I have come not as a beggar, nor as a thief. I have seen the truth of your daughter, and I love her still. I ask for her hand, not the crown, not the name, but her. His words fell like stones into still water. Chidima gasped. He cannot, she cried, eyes wide with envy and disbelief. She is the youngest. She should not go before us. Let him take one of us if he can bear the curse. Oluchi's voice cracked like dry reeds. Why her? She wears wigs of deception. We have nothing to hide. The queen's gaze softened, torn between daughters, between pride and pity. Marriage is not chosen by pity, my children, she said quietly. Each soul must meet the path set by its chi. But the king rose, staff striking the ground a thunderclap. Maxwell, you speak of love as if love is shield enough. Do you know what you are asking? This family bears a stain as old as the throne. Our daughters were born beneath a vow broken by our ancestors. To marry one is to carry that weight. Are you ready? Maxwell met the king's gaze. Yes, your Majesty, for truth is lighter than falsehood. The torches flickered. Somewhere in the rafters, an owl gave one long cry. The ancestral masks along the wall shimmered faintly, the court of spirits attending the mortal one. The king's voice lowered. Then listen. Tomorrow is the night of the red moon, the moon of confession. If you wish to claim my daughter, she must stand unveiled before all. No crown, no wig, no deceit. Let the ancestors see her as she is. Only then will I give my blessing. The hall fell silent. Even the wind seemed to hesitate. Nechi's heart thundered. Her palms were damp with terror. Father, she whispered, must it be before all the people? The law demands witness. The priest intoned from the shadows. A hidden sin must be burned in the open. She bowed her head. Then I will do it. That night she dreamed again the same river of mirrors, but this time the reflections were not her own. She saw her sisters, her mother, every woman who had ever hidden herself from the world. They knelt beside her, their heads shining like moons. From the water rose a voice, deep and patient as earth. Child of concealment, the curse was never the boldness, it was the shame. Uncover your fear, and you will uncover your freedom. When she awoke, the moon had already begun to climb, red and heavy as an old wound. The rite of unveiling began in the palace courtyard. The people gathered, courtiers, servants, strangers, drummers formed a circle, their hands ready but waiting. In the center stood a great bowl of mirror water, rimmed with white chalk and palm ash. The priest lifted his staff. Let the daughter of Anung step forth. Nechi walked into the ring. Her feet sank into the dust. The night breathed around her, full of eyes. Maxwell stood at the edge, silent, hands clenched. The priest chanted, Head of truth, reveal thyself. Hair or none, crown of spirit, speak. Nechi's fingers shook. She reached up. Slowly, so slowly the wig came free. A strand caught the light, and then the rest fell away. Her scalp glistened under the red moon, scarred, uneven, yet luminous. The crowd gasped, recoiling, then hushed. The silence that followed was not disgust, it was awe. The priest dipped his hand in the mirror water and anointed her forehead. The ancestors see no shame in creation. You are clean. The drums erupted, slow at first, then wild. The wind that had tormented her for years softened, curling around her shoulders like forgiveness. The torches brightened. The masks on the wall glowed gold. Maxwell stepped forward, fell to one knee before her bare head, and whispered for all to hear, "You are my truth." That night, when the crowd dispersed, the queen wept softly into her palms. Chidima and Oluchi watched from the shadows, their faces streaked with tears, not envy now, but revelation. For in their sister's courage they saw the reflection of their own redemption waiting. Above, the red moon faded to silver. The curse had been broken, but the final verdict had yet to be spoken. The ancestors would have their last word at dawn. Dawn broke blood red over the palace roofs. Smoke from the sacred torches still hung in the courtyard like ghosts reluctant to leave. The rite of unveiling was complete, yet the kingdom of Annam remained suspended in a breath between silence and roar. The law had been obeyed, but had the curse been lifted? The people waited to see if lightning or blessing would fall. The drums began again. Low, deliberate, like heartbeats of the ancestors. The wedding and the tribunal were to be held together. The living and the dead would share one ceremony. The courtyard filled royal guests, villagers, the old priest, even the palace guards trembling beneath the eyes of the masks. The king took his throne of carved ebony, his face unreadable. Beside him stood the queen, fingers laced in anxious prayer. Before them, Nechi stood unveiled, the bare truth of her head shining beneath the sun like burnished copper. The same head she had hidden for years was now the very emblem of defiance. Maxwell walked beside her. His garments were white, the color of vow and sacrifice. In his hand he held a single kola nut, cracked in half a promise of unity before gods and men. The priest raised his staff. "The moon has seen the head," he said solemnly, "but the sun must now bless it. The curse is half broken. The final word belongs to the courage of love." The crowd murmured. Somewhere, Chidima and Oluchi watched from behind the columns, their hearts hammering. Their envy was gone, replaced by trembling hope. The king of Annam leaned forward. His voice was heavy as thunder restrained. "Maxwell, man of no crown, do you still claim this daughter of mine? She who has no hair, who carries the shame of her bloodline, who has defied her curse beneath your witness. Speak now." The courtyard froze. Maxwell stepped forward, eyes steady. "I claim her," he said, not in pity, but in reverence. Her head is bare, but her spirit wears the crown of truth. The curse ends with her courage. A gust of wind tore through the courtyard, scattering dust like ash from an old fire. The ancestral masks trembled on the walls. The priest struck his staff against the earth. Once, twice, 3 times, the signal of verdict. "The spirits have heard," he cried. "Where fear was hidden, truth has stood. The curse is broken, not by beauty, but by honesty. From this day, no daughter of Anam shall cover her head in shame. The drums exploded. Women lifted their veils. The crowd erupted into a chant of blessing. Head of truth, head of light, the soul uncovered is the soul made right. Nechi fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. Maxwell reached for her hands, lifting her as the priest placed the collar halves between them. Their fingers closed, sealing the vow. The king rose at last, staff in hand. His voice carried through the courtyard like a final decree. So it shall be. Love has done what pride could not. Let this marriage be both union and absolution. The drums shifted, now faster, triumphant. From the shadows, Chidima and Oluchi stepped forward, their own heads gleaming in the light. For the first time, they did not hide. The crowd gasped, then began to clap and ululate, the sound rolling like thunder made of joy. The priest turned toward them. "You too are free," he said. "For when one of the bloodline unveils, the others need not hide. The curse does not divide it, binds until broken.